We are thrilled to welcome back Reverend Linda Martella-Whitsett, who will be speaking today. Wonderful to have you, Reverend Linda. Thank you. We look forward to your message. Whole in One, W-H-O-L-E. I love it. The great title. And Alan, you started us off so wonderfully. Thank you. We're so glad you're here to do the prelude and special music for us today. Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful. Now it's time for a centering prayer. As I was going through a Unity publication looking for some prayers for today, both this opening prayer and the closing prayer resonated with me. And I know people have said that when they prepare a talk for church, or if any of you, I'm a retired teacher, and those teachers have a saying that if you ever want to learn something, teach it. And it's that connection. And I think I obviously needed these prayers, and I hope they resonate with you as well today. So please join me in prayer. When for a purpose I had prayed and prayed and prayed until my words seemed worn and bare with arduous use. And I had knocked and asked and knocked and asked again, why? And all my fervor and persistence brought no hope. I paused to give my weary brain a rest and ceased my anxious human cry in that still moment. After self had tried and failed, there came a glorious vision of God's power, and lo, my prayer was answered in that hour. Amen.
Und morgen wird die Sonne wieder scheinen und auf dem Wege, den ich gehen werde, wird uns die Glücklichen sie wieder einen inmitten dieser sonnenatmenden Erde. Und zu dem Strand, dem weiten, wogenblauen, werden wir still und langsam niedersteigen. Dann werden wir uns die Augen schauen und auf uns singt des Glückes stummes Schweigen.
Alan, without understanding the lyrics, sometimes that's actually better, because just get to experience it in a state of wholeness. So thank you for that beautiful, inspiring music. And friends, it's a delight to be with you today. I've had an update that I just want to let you know that since we last met, those of you who I connected with the last time I was with you, I have recently retired from my pinnacle role as a Unity minister, as I was leading Unity's global prayer ministry, Silent Unity, for the last many years. And so now I'm free to do what I love most in ministry, which is being with you and preaching, teaching, speaking, writing, and coaching. So it's a particular joy to speak about the teachings of Unity in this way this morning, because Unity's teachings about God, the G-O-D, lean toward a realization of oneness. Co-founders Charles and Myrtle Fillmore came upon the word unity, as the name for the body of spiritual teachings that they were building. They had drawn widely, of course, from religious and philosophical disciplines that they were learning about around the globe, conventional ones as well as more obscure ones. And they were noting especially that the truth is the truth, no matter the language or the body of teachings, really. So thus the word unity stood for oneness. And we do understand that oneness is not the same as sameness, right? Oneness. So I want to speak about this today, how we are whole, W-H-O-L-E, in one. Well, one features of their teachings was that instead of an anthropomorphic deity, G-O-D would best be described in broad and vast terminology, such as infinite love, presence, and power, and the three omnis: omnipresence, omnipotence, omniscience. Today we use words like the universe or all that is. Well, I think the Fillmores intuited something that the mystics and the metaphysical masters have always intuited. God and I are one, which means there is no separation. And modern science has confirmed this, right? The entirety of Unity teachings. This is the entirety. I call it the prime principle, oneness or unity. The well-known astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson named the 4 primary elements. You probably know them: hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, and nitrogen. That these 4 elements are essential for life in the universe. And for life in the physical body, well, the identical 4. And Tyson goes on to say that means that we are part of this universe. And perhaps more importantly, he says, the universe is in us. Sounds great, doesn't it? Chances are you're here today because you've intuited that unity. You have had glimpses, have you not, of oneness, when the perception of your separateness fades and you feel, sense, and know that you are part of all that is. Many of us have had experiences like that from early childhood, and they stay with us, don't they? Because they're moments of a breakthrough consciousness beyond physical into the infinite. And that glimpse just makes us hungry for more. Do you agree? I mean, that's why I'm in Unity. That's why I study the teachings. One of the defining features of humanity is our inexhaustible quest for knowing that we have value, we have purpose, and knowing that we belong in life. Ultimately, knowing oneness. So whether we think in terms of the past, the present, or the future, and whether we think in terms of physical life or physical death, we search for what is unity, really. What does unity mean here and now while embodied? And what does unity mean after physical death? If unity means no separation, no other, then why do we struggle to belong and to find words lacking to describe our experience of unity? The simplest way for me to conceptualize and speak about the struggle to dwell in oneness is this. We are 100% human. We are 100% divine. Therein lies a perception of duality which confounds oneness. Does this make sense to you? So what is physical, human? Well, form and shape, senses and emotions, logical thought, the realm of relative truth, which implies limitations. We do have limitations in the physical or human experience, don't we? The brain is limited. It sees what it expects to see. It leaps to conclusions. Well, at least mine does. It misses what is right in front of it, and it doesn't deal in subtlety. I mean, study any brain scientist. David Eagleman's one of my favorites. This is what we learned. The brain is patterned, and the brain has a way of behaving that limits what we can see and understand in material form, in our physical. So all of this speaks to a finite manifestation. We have a birth date, we have a death date, we are running around in time and space in form. And that, of course, is very different from that of us, which is the spiritual or divine of us, that 100%. Because the spiritual is the realm of spaciousness, formlessness. It's pure atmosphere. It's absolute truth. It's the realm in which we have inspiration and intuition. It's Jesus's kingdom of the heavens, which is all about divine ideas. It's the field of spiritual understanding. If there's a downside of the spiritual, it is just that it has no limits, right? It has no limits. That unlimited. Do you remember one of the early TED Talks from Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor? She's the one who wrote My Stroke of Insight, I think it was called. Well, she was a brain scientist, right? And she had a stroke, and she was able to describe and write about and speak about what was happening to her from her knowledge of what was going on in a stroke, but also her own experience. And she described, like in a riveting way, what would happen when her left brain functions would go offline. And at times like that, in the middle of the stroke experience, she was not able to function at all. She was floating in a sort of amorphous consciousness without any borders, without any boundaries. But that meant that she could not identify, like the digits on a telephone, for example, or even recognize where her body ended and the rest of the universe took off from there. She was in a state of infinity, which was, to her, was just this most glorious state of being, but utterly not useful in physicality, right? Utterly not able to be. You're not able to do anything with that in a state of physicality. So here's where I love thinking about it this way, because it helps me to understand where my thinking about unity, about my oneness, really, why it's so challenging at times. So this soul, or the this, our ability to think and be aware is a pivotal consciousness, right? We're able to be aware of our physical human identity, and we're able to be aware of our spiritual or divine identity, to know that you are a point of consciousness in infinity, able to know yourself as a distinctive point of consciousness, or to know yourself as infinity. So for a moment, just think about some moments when you were aware of yourself as a distinct point of consciousness, right? Where you were fully conscious in a fully physical moment. And then think about some moments, if you can capture them, if you can conceptualize them, a moment when you knew yourself as infinity. Well, which one is easier to recall? I dare say while we're in human form, we have the capacity to draw from our humanity and our divinity. That constitutes our wholeness, our completeness, oneness. In physical death, that consciousness pivots entirely toward our spiritual identity, right? We're out of the physical realm and we're in the state of non-physical. And in unity, at least, we teach that it's not death in the sense that the infinite cannot die, right? Infinity is eternal. Life is a spiritual power. It's a principle that applies wherever I am. Wherever I am, God is, whether I'm expressing physically or non-physically. And all of it, humanity and divinity, is. I feel like I'm channeling Eric Butterworth when I say isness is aliveness, right? Isness is oneness. So whether in physical form or in a infinity, in a formless state of being, we are most alive. So what do we do with this knowledge? What could be practical about it? I always want to make sure that there's something practical. Like, what do we do with this awareness then? Well, to me, the power of light, the power and the light of divine life are able to be embodied while in physical form, and they're able to be experienced non-physically or spiritually. Both of these aspects of being are available. And so for me, to recognize that life is the forward, onward, upward motion, meaning that life is continuous motion, right? There's no stagnancy in life. Without flow, there is no life. Just as a pool of water that's cut off from its source becomes toxic and it dries up, it dies. So this flow is an aspect of divine life that's available in physicality as well as in spirituality, right? I mean, in flow, in practice, physical movement, dance and yoga, hiking with an in-the-moment awareness, any kind of motion of the body, or even being aware of the circulation of fluid and the pulse of our body. You see this as a circulation or flow. That animating power of life is available to us in our physicality, and in our spirituality. We can claim that power, affirming, I am the forward, onward, upward flow of life. Just say that to yourself. Affirm, I am the forward, onward, upward flow of life. Well, another aspect of life is animation. It's the vitality. It's that enough energy. It's enough energy, having enough energy. And as we know, I learned it in a 4th grade science class, I think. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can be only converted to other forms, just like water can be ice or steam. So life is energy, the capacity to bring ideas to life from the formless, the creation that happens in the mind, to form or manifestation or demonstration, right? This is the creative process that we teach in Unity. Mind, divine ideas, and the expression or manifestation of them. And so one simple way that so many friends of mine, and me too, I too have used as part of my practice from time to time to tune into that vitality, to own it, is to create a vision board or to use my journal and write, because I'm a writer. So writing words of my vision for my life. What's important to me? What's alive in me? What do I want to bring to life, right? What do I want to bring from that formless idea into expression in my life? So whatever we do, whatever's important to us, we can draw from that vitality, that essential energy that is our nature, and we can use it in physical and in spiritual ways, of course. So an affirmation for the use of vitality, this aspect of life, I can say, I give life to divine ideas. Affirm that for yourself right now. I give life to divine ideas. Notice what happens, what gets set in motion when you affirm that. And another area of practice is based on this third aspect of the power of life, which is presence. Presence. You know, when my sister Maureen, who was 2 years younger than me, she died by suicide several years ago now. And I remember after her death, I was wanting so much to know that she was okay. You know how that is. I didn't want her to appear at the front of my bed, however. I told her that in my thoughts. But I wanted evidence that of her life, that she was well, I remember waking up in the middle of the night and going downstairs. I just couldn't sleep. I sat in the living room, and all of a sudden I had a thought. It was a snarky, sense of humor kind of thought that was not an original thought to Linda. It was instantly recognizable to me. This was a Maureen-ism. This was my sister. This was my knowledge of my sister. It was her presence. You know, it was just as real to me as when she was alive and we were on the telephone, me in Omaha, Nebraska, and she in Philadelphia, able to talk, able for me to recognize her unique presence. And so we know, don't we, that presence is not merely physical, that I am presence. That when we think of presence, we think of God, but in the state of oneness, I am presence. And the question always for us is, what will be the quality of my presence in this moment and in this situation? What will be the quality of my presence? So one practice I learned from a dear friend of mine was this. He said, practice walking through the grocery store or some other public space with lots of people and walk around, you know, in a state of sort of contraction, right? Don't make contact with anybody, lower your gaze, just kind of walk through and just notice what you experience being in this public setting. Next, he said, walk again, and this time make eye contact with everyone you pass and express the state of connection, either verbally or just with your facial expression, right? Notice what is different about that walk. And then decide at the start of each day, what's the quality of my presence going to be today? What what light am I going to shine today in the world or in my interactions? Am I going to beam peace, compassion, grace? Let me decide the kind of presence I am. And so tell yourself, again, affirm, I am a dynamic presence, shining the light of, and you fill that in, the light of light, the light of love, the light of wisdom, the light of peace. You decide. Again, say it to yourself, I am a dynamic presence, shining the light of grace. So friends, you see, we do have ways to practice to really bring together and not see ourselves as separation, as the physical is very different from and very separate from the spiritual. As we work in both of these realms and give them their due, right? Give them each their due, that we respect that beautiful unity of consciousness that we are, and we then fulfill the state of unity. I'd like for us to meditate on this in a moment, but first a little music to usher us in to meditation. Let's enter together into a period of meditation and begin in your own posture for prayer so that you're comfortable and yet you're able to remain alert. And take a moment to just become aware of your present human experience and all that comes with it, whatever you're feeling, sensing, thinking, and knowing, your impressions. And begin by blessing the fullness of your humanity. I bless my body and all of its functions, its faithfulness and tireless support. I bless my brain, capable of thoughts simple and complex. I bless my body's innate intelligence and vitality. And I open my mind to all that I am, that of me that is sensed but not seen, the spiritual I am. I open that I may know my whole self. I shift my awareness to wholeness now, the original and absolute I am. And here I know and I experience there is only one, but there is only presence. There is no absence. In this broader awareness, in the spaciousness of recognition that I am within all that is, that I can't be absent, that I am present. I integrate 100% human, 100% divine. I integrate wholeness, my true nature, knowing that it means that nothing could ever be missing, wrong, or broken about me. That I am indivisible. I cannot be separated out I'm not pieces and parts, but I am an integration, a wholeness, fully physical, fully spiritual. For a moment of silence, just ask, just actually command all aspects of being to pay attention to this moment of integration, to know myself as whole in a state of oneness. The whole me moves through my experiences. The whole me moves through times of healing and evolving. The whole me reaches fresh conclusions. I am whole in the midst of human conditions. And I can get really good at pivoting between my physicality and my spirituality. I can practice not leaving either of these essential aspects of being out. I fully respect and honor and give room for my full humanity to flourish and my full spirituality to evolve. I foster well-being as I nurture my divine humanity, as I declare to myself, I am a divine human, whole. Breathe deeply into this moment of fresh awareness, a realization. And I can begin to make this real in my life by practicing, attuning to each aspect of being in a way that I gain through this practice the easy facility of drawing from my human and my divine natures. I am whole. And so it is. Amen.
My life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, though far-off song that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It finds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? tempest loudly roars, I hear the truth, it liveth. And though the darkness round me close, songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm. Well, to that rock I'm clinging, since love is Lord of heaven and earth. How can I keep from singing? My life flows on in endless song, above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, though far off song, that hails a new creation. Though all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It finds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? How can I keep from singing?
So let's join together in prayer. I acknowledge that God is present in every person and experience. The spirit of harmony, order, and understanding is at work in me now. Through my spiritual nature, I am willing to see the God presence in others and release any desire to question. The divine spirit that dwells in each of us is greater than any despair. My heart fills with serenity and faith. Life is mine to live in peace, joy, and abundance. And I'm so grateful.
We are so blessed here at Unity Center DC for extraordinary speakers, talented musicians who share with us each week their God gift, their message, their inspiration. And for us as recipients, I'd like you to take this moment and be grateful. If you want to express your gratitude by giving a gift to Unity Center DC, it's possible. We'll put up on the screen the options, but you can give online, you can mail a cash or a check to the address you'll see on the screen, so that we can continue this ministry, which has blessed us all. Thank you.
I'll tell you, I emphasize this these days, that 100% human, because I don't know if you've noticed, but I notice in my travels through Unity over many years that at least for a long time, there was sort of a belief, or the message sort of at least implied, that the physical of us was lesser, right? That the physical, that we were trying in a sense to escape the physical for the spiritual, that the real is the spiritual and the physical in a sense is an illusion. Now this comes from like Eastern teachings about the illusory world and those kinds of things. But what it led to for so many people is denying the here and now things that they were dealing with, and kind of having more of a magical thinking about life, right? If I just see myself as spiritual and not deal with all this stuff, it'll just go away, it'll just magically heal and disappear. And so to me, I think wholeness has to include our physicality, and we have to honor all that we're about. And so, this idea that was prevalent for at least several years of literally slaying the ego, I think was misguided, because the ego is so essential. I couldn't speak to you this morning without an ego, right? And we can't do what we do in this physical expression we are without an ego. So to me, emphasizing that now and learning to befriend that human and divine me, learning to befriend how are we one, and how do I stay in a consciousness that includes both and allows me to therefore bring what I'm here to bring to life. So anyway, that's where that comes from, Jan. I feel like it's important to emphasize, and for us to get good at practicing how to be fully in our humanity and fully in our divinity. And they're not always in the same moment. We draw from both of those things, but all together, that makes for I think the power that is possible for us to bring into the world, the light that we can shine. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Joan. I aim for some kind of clarity and that provocation, so thank you. You're acknowledging, at least you're acknowledging that I think I did what I had hoped to do, which was to say it in a way that maybe we haven't heard before and we can take to heart. Yeah. You're welcome. Yeah, Alan, I mean, that as a follow-up to the message and the meditation, just really, to me, that's the sort of state that I want to be in when I'm in that state of oneness, right? That the pure joy of that is reflected in your way of singing the song and the lyrics themselves. Thank you so much. Yeah, and to who was just speaking with me? Did she leave? No, Carolyn. Yeah, yeah. I wish. I mean, I think what happened, there's so much to say about how Jesus got turned into divine but not human being. And it's a shame if we miss his humanity. It's a shame if we miss, because that's the whole point, is to be able to express our divinity while in human form, right? We don't have to escape humanity in order to be. In fact, if we do, I think it's a hollow spirituality. So anyway, my thoughts about that. Thanks.